in house with us today. Not only is he known as the Alabama legend, the flip-flop wearing, the high-flying, extremely exciting Cabana Man Dan from New South Pro Wrestling, Forever Pro Wrestling, and Pro South Wrestling, and many, many more. CMD, thank you, sir, for being here with us tonight. How are you doing?
I am doing good, and your introduction has fired me up, baby. Let me tell you, I'm sitting here in the Spartan Wrestling Arena where they're doing training classes in another room, so you might hear some people getting bumped around, but I'm trying to be in a locker room backstage, ready to rock and roll with you, Rabid Beaver. And I appreciate you inviting me on to the show. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, Alabama legend. I mean, Mike Jackson's still out there, so I mean, I'm always going to be chasing his coattails as far as Alabama legend. But I appreciate the nod for sure.
You're very welcome. First off, thank you for agreeing to be here. My fans and myself have some questions for you. We would love to get into that. Are you ready, sir?
Oh, yeah, I am. Let's go.
All right. So let us get to know you, Cabana Man Dan, a little bit more. The fans want to know and have asked me to ask you, how did you get the name Cabana Man Dan?
Well, it rolls off the tongue. A name for a wrestler is always super important. You always need something memorable for the most part. I mean, there's some people with kind of generic names that get over huge, but I always wanted to be more of a character since day one. This is actually the same name I backyard wrestled as Cabana Man Dan when I was 15 years old in the late 90s. So it's always just been my character. I always wanted to be the Islander character. I always wanted to tap into the Filipino heritage, and that's just who I have been. I was a big RVD fan, and I liked having the three initials because you can get the crowd to sing along. So, CMD is a really good chant when you're getting your ass kicked, and it really fires you up. So,
it's a really good chant when you're winning too. I mean, you can tell the crowd is behind you because they're going CMD, CMD. I mean, they definitely want to hear it and see it go on. So we got to see you a few weeks ago at one of the shows that New South was holding, and also at Forever Pro Wrestling. We are extremely excited to have you here. Can you tell us what it's like to be Cabana Man Dan?
It's very busy right now. Wrestling since 2001 with a 6-year break in between. I've been back on the Indies since 2016, and it wound up being busier this part of my career than I was the first 9 or 10 years, where I just pretty much just stayed in Alabama and Georgia. But, it's just really busy. I try to stay focused primarily on New South right now. That's my home promotion. I'm really in the trenches with these people behind the scenes and in front of the crowds. It's just where a lot of my time is prioritized, helping them get as many butts in the seats, and making towns and doing deals and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm with Forever Pro. I don't wrestle a whole lot of places, but that's somewhere I try to make it, because I've known Kevin Ryan for a long time, and he's always been a good dude to me, and vice versa. So I've got a lot of time for Kevin, and when he asked me to be part of his show, it's hard to resist. And I like to not just be at one place, but at least I got somewhere else where I can kind of do my own thing and just go to the show as a wrestler only, and I can just wear my wrestling hat, wrestle a dude, and go home.
And it makes it so much easier when you're able to do that, instead of having to focus on all the back scene stuff, all the drama, things that happen in the wrestling business that we all know of, but nobody really wants to talk about. And Cabana Man Dan, whenever you broke into the business, it must have been hard for you. Who trained you? What was the journey, and how's it look like today?
Oh man, kids today have it made in the shade. You have schools you can go to. There's social media. You can do your own video and photo editing on your phone. You can put yourself out there in a snap. Let me tell you about 2001. So I was 16 years old, and I went to a movie gallery video rental store, and I was looking at wrestling tapes, and the person working there said, "Hey, you like wrestling? There's a show in Center, Alabama that they said they have a training school." So I go up there, which wasn't really a training school. It was in the back of an antique store for Wrestling Christian Fellowship the promoter was Chief Little Lynn, which is, if you're a longtime Georgia person, you might have heard that name back in the day. That's, who trained me initially in the back of the antique store where they had matches on Saturday nights. It was like an indoor yard sale type thing. And I got my start there. Eventually the show closed, and this is before social media was big. I mean, there was MySpace a little bit, and it was literally, I had to get word of mouth. It's like, where do I go now? So I was literally getting word of mouth from other wrestlers. Hey, where can I get wrestling reps at? And they would tell me and stuff, and I'd actually have to mail VHS tapes to promoters and write them letters and emails and stuff. So it's a lot easier now.
Oh yeah,
long story short,
especially with the invention of social media and the invention of putting yourself out there through the internet and making sure, like, the internet was just in its very beginning stages when we were growing up. 96 through 2002 was like the very infancy, and it's just flown and taken off. So I actually started Cabana Man Dan working in video and video production for the CW in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we were doing church shows, and a little guy came in, and he said, by the name of Harley Race. And he said, if you'll put me on the show and if you'll get me a time slot, I'll pay you every week to do it. And we had a board meeting about it, and I was the deciding vote for that factor. And I said, I want him. I don't care what it costs. I want this man to be on the show. I want him to do it. And we got him locally in this area at that time that was going on. It was on CW53. And it would only air at 2:00 in the morning. Now, mind you, so he picked like the worst time slot to be on, but it aired at 2:00 in the morning. And, what happened from there was just a miracle. So he hooked me up with Dr. Tom Pritchard. Dr. Tom Pritchard gave me a social media class, taught me how to use all the tools that we're using today and what we're doing today. And then we've just moved forward. So I know exactly where you're coming from just people walking in with a VHS tape and going, please, can you play this? Please, can you look at this? Please just help us to get noticed. And that was coming from somebody who had a huge name in the wrestling business, and they were just so scared to even give the man an opportunity to get on the air. So I definitely understand where you're coming from and how the internet has changed. The social media market has changed everything. Today, you can have something go viral with 1 million, 2 million, 3 million views in a couple hours if you're putting it out there properly. So let's get back to it, though. So recently, we know that you had a match with Roma Miller, a flip-flop on a pole match. And can you tell us what promotion that was in and what it was like to finally get your hands on Roma Miller after all the trash he talked?
Well, it was for Primetime Wrestling. They're no longer functioning, unfortunately. That was their last event in Gadsden, and it was really fun. I've joked for a long time that I wanted to do something on the pole match, like, so bad, especially flip-flops on a pole match. It's just like, we could never make it make sense anywhere else. And I mean, we just made it happen at Primetime, and we talked some trash about it for a couple of weeks and just made it happen. And it was a really fun and entertaining match. And I think there was going to be more to the program with Roma and I, but as in wrestling, plans change, pal.
On the fly. Yeah. And that's the thing that nobody really wants to talk about. So, and there's another aspect to this too. We always hear card subject to change, right? But there comes a point in time where the card is changed, and you've got to let people who are in on the show know what's going on. Because if you don't, the wrong things could be said. You could damage people's reputation. You could have, especially in the wrestling business. The wrestling business is so small. If you just say the wrong thing about the wrong person at the wrong time, that could be the difference from them getting booked 12, 13 shows to getting booked one show the whole year. So that's a big thing for them. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, where they had the stipulation and the promotion shut down. Unfortunately, that's a very unfortunate situation for them. I hope that one day that they will come back, and they will come back strong, and you'll be a part of that in one way or another when it does happen. Now, let's move on just a little bit. At Forever Pro Wrestling, we got to see you a couple weeks ago, and you had a heck of a competitor in the ring with you. Can you tell us a little bit about that match and the rivalry between you two?
If you're talking about the match, well, let's see, I've got two rivalries going on now. But the match that I had most recently for Forever Pro was against Kevin Ryan. And it didn't get too heated. It was a little silly here and there. But when gloves came off eventually, and we really had to step it up. I mean, it was a match that's never happened before, at least one-on-one. I think we've been in like tag matches and triple threats, but never a one-on-one situation. And it was fun. It was fun. It's a match I definitely want to do again, and try to get that win back, baby. But on the other side of my Forever Pro drama, the last time they were in Calhoun, Georgia, I wrestled Sal Renaro, and the match got interrupted by Sunny Days getting involved. And then Shane Oakley came out to make a save.
Oh, freaking heartless Shane Oakley.
And I wasn't super familiar with Shane. That's on me for not doing my homework on literally every single member of the roster. And unfortunately, yeah, he hit me in the back with a kendo stick, and I took the finish from Happy Madness and lost. So just announced this week that at Forever Pro this Friday, September 20th, I get my hands on Shane Oakley.
Friday, September 20th, you're going to get your hands on Shane Oakley. Do you have anything you would like to say to Shane Oakley right here live, sir?
You messed up, son. That's it.
That's great. Miss Cassara Hughes has come into the chat box on Facebook, and she says, does your toes ever get stepped on when you're in the ring shoeless? Don't get me wrong, you're pretty fast on your feet.
My toes get stepped on more behind the scenes, metaphorically. No, I really don't. Like, maybe like in a battle royal, they'll get stepped on. Haven't broken any toes. I have sprained an ankle once, and I have lost a toenail. So yeah, after 20 years, that's pretty good run.
You've had a pretty good run with that. Not to change the subject, but one of my friends has asked me to ask you if you're down with Evil and Rolando Perez, or do you think Evil sucks?
I don't even know why somebody would waste their energy typing on a keypad or a cell phone screen to even think I would care at all about Evil. They can not let the door hit them on the way out. I've got a long history with one member in particular, and that's Rolando Perez. We're just like arch nemesis. No matter where we go, there's always a little bit of heat there.
As there should be, I do believe, Cabana Man Dan. I believe that Rolando Perez has definitely forged his way in the business, and he's got something to prove, but I believe you have something more to prove than Rolando has. And I think that's where it's coming from.
A long, long time ago, when Rolando was first breaking into the business and trying to get his foot in the door at New South, he got his foot in the door all right as the fake Cabana Man Dan. Now, this is before IWTV was in existence. This is like lost footage almost now, but for a while, he was promoting himself as the real Cabana Man Dan, and he even beat me for a time to win the character and the name, the likeness, the moveset, and the flip-flop chops. And I was just Dan, wrestling in black trunks, black knee pads, and boots.
That's an atrocity.
So I eventually won all the rights to Cabana Man Dan back from him. But and I had people crying in the crowd because it was so good. So it was awesome. It's my favorite story that no one today even knows about because it's not really recorded anywhere, and it's sad.
Well, Rolando wants to relinquish it from history as well because he wants to keep all the fame and glory to himself. That glory hog he is. Such a good man.
It exists on Cage Match. It's never going away.
That's right. Not to change the subject, but what a hell of a match you had at All Business against Tyler Franks. A few months ago that you had right there at the Friendship Lodge at New South Pro Wrestling. Do you have any words for Tyler? Are you kind of got some animosity built up? Is there anything going on there? Are you going to get another chance at that big belt?
Absolutely zero animosity towards Tyler Franks. I respect the hell out of him. He came back to New South when he was at a crossroads in his wrestling career, whether he stick it out with New South, he stick it out with the wrestling business altogether. He didn't know his way at the time. And he talked to general manager Dump Sanders and negotiated a comeback if he were to get a championship opportunity with that comeback. I mean, he earned it, but at the same time, it's like he came back because he was going to get a title shot, and he won the championship on his return. And he's not even the same Tyler Franks as he was back in maybe April or when that happened, April
Yes,
or May. I have to check it out. The dude is better every single time he steps into the ring. He's a little bit quicker. He's a little bit more tan. He's in better shape. He's got abs peaking. He's getting bigger. He's got the shoulders, got the arms, and now he's the New South champion. He's on his way to being the best New South champion that we've ever had, and I will say that as the third longest reigning champion in New South history. He's awesome, and you do the work, you do the right things, you don't take shortcuts, and now he's going into NWA in October, and he earned that right. He works hard for New South, he works hard for Retinal Wrestling, he works very hard for NWA Crossfire. So I mean everything, and he started with New South. He got his initial training in a New South ring, but that wasn't enough for him. He went and saw Dr. Tom and went to finishing school, is what I like to call it, and became on the right path to where he is now. So I mean, I'm a big fan of Tyler, and he knows that, and we've talked a lot. So I mean, anything that he gets, he deserves, and it's all been good this year for him. So as far as I know,
that's extremely big coming from you, especially being one of the longest title holders in New South Pro Wrestling that in history, and for you to give him the torch and to pass the torch on to him. And I'm telling you, you had a heck of a match at the Friendship Lodge, and it went so far that the time limit ran out and they restarted it just so that you could get the match back in. And they made sure that you had a complete finish for that match. And I've got to say, there was at one point in time you questioned hitting him with the bell, and you had it in your hands, and for some reason you dropped it. I was screaming, "Do it! Hit him! Get him! Hit him!" I was ready for it.
Not that way,
but not that way. It wouldn't have been right. So you absolutely have got it right. The man is polished. Like you said, he went on to finishing school. He went on to polish his craft and to make his craft better. And that's what we have to do every day. It's not about where we're at today. It's about where we're going for tomorrow. That's right. And being better tomorrow in this business, whether it's through announcing, through wrestling, through being the best behind the scenes person you can be, even if you're just carrying somebody's luggage. Funny story. Whenever we first got started in the business, that's what we did. Is whenever they were holding matches, we put up the ring, we took down the ring, we tore the apron down, we tore the mats off of it, we put the boards down. If it was a steel complex, we moved the steel complex out. I mean, we did everything that we had to do to make sure that we were inside the business somehow, some way. And eventually, over time, we gained a reputation and gained respect and got to where we were going. But I want to say, if you do it the right way, you work hard and you try to better yourself every day, and you're always looking to better yourself. And it doesn't matter. You can learn from anybody. You can learn from the man who's holding the mop and the broom, or you can learn from the man who's inside the ring throwing people around. You can always learn something from somebody. Just better yourself every day, and you're going to go far. So,
and that's the more you know.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And that's the more you know with Arabbidb3aver.
That's right.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, I still put the ring up. I still take it down. I still take out the trash. You never stop paying dues. I mean, wrestling has given me a lot, and I'm always continuing to give back to it one way or another. And I've gotten to do a lot of really crazy, cool things in the last 20-something years. But I'm almost convinced that the things that I do that are the greatest in my career are yet to come. And it probably is behind the scenes in the actual business of wrestling, honestly. And that's not even just like trying to make a match card or anything like that. No, I can help with that, but I'm more focused on how can we make the most money, because this is a business, and how can we do it the right way by out promoting, outworking, and getting an interest where people know they're going to vote with their wallets and they're going to come to a New South show. That is my job right now.
And you know what? You do a heck of a job for everybody that's out there. I mean, a couple months ago, you guys were promoting for Princeton. You guys were in Princeton at the high school. And you guys were out there just doing everything. I got to see every time that you posted, every time you put something up for New South. You and Dump Sanders is a phenomenal promoter. I have to say that first and foremost. There's lots of people who talk about sharing things and getting flyers out and sending people tickets and doing different things. The man does it. There's a difference in doing it and talking about it. And he's just not a talker. He's a doer. And you guys just promoted everything that you've done for the past, but even the 1 year or I believe it was the 9-year anniversary that you just had. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? 9 years
yes.
That you just had. The promotions that came out for that, it was like every other day he was sending me, he's like, don't forget, please put it out there. Please help me. And, that makes a big difference whenever you're talking about it, you're getting your product out there, you're being seen, you're having other people talk about your product, and you're making it work. That's a huge thing. You guys do an excellent job on that. The sky is the limit for New South Pro Wrestling right now, as long as you stay the course and you keep doing what you're doing. I'll tell you that first and foremost, especially from the sellouts that you're having in the high schools. My God, Cabana Man Dan, talk about it. I mean, you guys sold out over 650 people at the anniversary show. The following week, you sold out. And then 2 weeks down the road, you sold out again in the Friendship Lodge. You guys have just been selling out everything that you're going to and every place you're going to. And you may have had some hiccups along the way. You might have had some people try to stifle that fire, but you guys are burning strong.
Right. And like you said, it's just, we compete with ourselves. We fight our history, and we had a good showing for anniversary show. I think we're a little high on your number, but we want to get to, we've had 650 at other shows before. But it was a very, very good crowd for a very new venue, and the sky is the limit. We're really setting up an incredible 2025, especially in the North Alabama, Huntsville area. I mean, we're having New South shows at the Von Braun Civic Center twice this year.
Yeah.
Or actually, by the end of the year, this will be our third show at the Von Braun Civic Center. And, WWE runs there, AEW runs there, GCW runs there. I mean, we're in the same building as superstars.
Yes, sir.
So we're doing the right things,
Well, you're putting in all the right work. And speaking of putting in all the right work, I know there's a man that you've been in the ring with before, but I have to ask, would you like to challenge one or be in the ring with one, Mike Quackenboss?
Well, me and Mike go way back. We've wrestled before when I was new to the business, probably in like 2005. Quackenbush literally tied me in knots. But I also got to meet him that day and get my foot in the door, because without him, I would have not. If he didn't wrestle Amazing Red for me live when I went to New Jersey, that was a match that made me want to be a wrestler, or transition from fan to actually get in the ring. And then my goal was to make it to Chikara. I was in Young Lions Cup 5, and their last season, I was added to their roster and was starting to go up there more and more. And there was opportunities there with the Wrestle Factory as a part-time coach. Things happen, plans change, pal. But the fact that things were in motion with that, that just means that, that my hard work paid off, but that wasn't the final destination. We keep going.
That's right. Absolutely. So with that being said, would you step in the ring with him one more time if the opportunity persisted?
It is possible. I mean, we have tagged before. I like it better on that side of it because he's not tying me up in circles, but sure. Why not?
The reason I'm saying this, Cabana Man Dan, is because here in a couple weeks at the School of Morton, he's going to be hosting a seminar. He's going to be having it. So if you're interested, you might be able to get your foot in the door with Mike Quackenbush one more time.
I don't know if he can handle the flip-flop chops now, but it would have been good, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Let's just leave it at that. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I was in a little bit more peak performance and really could give him a run for the money. And he's still amazing in the ring. He wrestled in Alabama a few weeks ago and hasn't missed a beat. So, I mean, I wish more people could see it.
All right, Cabana Man Dan, we're running out of time, but I've got a couple more questions for you. I think we're going to be able to get them in.
All right. Well, that's the thing. I can talk a lot about wrestling.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Is there anything you would like to say to anyone watching looking to fulfill their dreams and becoming a professional wrestler or getting in and breaking into the business?
Yes, because I mean, getting into wrestling, it's trial and error, and it's learning by making mistakes. And where you are now is not where you're going to be in the future, like you said earlier. But one thing I was guilty of is I lost the enjoyment of wrestling. If you comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, sir.
Is where I'm getting to. and you put in the work. You're gone every weekend. You're sleeping on couches. You're sleeping in cars at rest stops. You're flying on the cheapest ticket on Spirit with one bag just because you're just trying to get your name out there. You don't draw a lot of money. You don't have a name value. You might have a value here, but you have to build that value elsewhere. You have to wrestle so much where people don't know that, hey, you're an Alabama guy. Oh, you're not a Southeast guy. Oh, you're a Midwest guy. You're just a professional wrestler. And if you see people getting opportunities, they probably earned it or they had a easier way in than you, but don't let that discourage you from what you're doing, because you got to wrestle with blinders on, because you would see people kind of surpassing you in your own way that you're thinking they're surpassing you. But at the same time, there's hundreds of other wrestlers that think that they're behind you in line too.
That's absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth.
If I'm on this, people don't realize that I didn't realize I'm on the come up that I actually was on, because you're chasing it. That chase, that fire, you just can't let it get to you. You can't get that why not me attitude. If that person got that spot and they dropped out, would you be the next person they call? Probably not. So you just got to keep the course.
Well, you said something important by keeping the course. See, Casey Kazana came on a couple weeks ago and he said, you never know when your number is going to be called. You never know what trip it's going to be or who's going to duck out of what match, and they're going to need somebody to fill up. And he said, if you put on the show of a lifetime and you feel like you're doing great, it's going to happen for you one day. Somebody is going to notice. The fans are going to notice. And he said, if the fans notice, that's when it really becomes real, is because it doesn't matter what promotion you're in or where you're at. If the fans love you, they're going to love you forever. So, I mean, that's so true. So true.
I agree. And you never know, especially with, like we're saying with social media, you never know who's watching. You never know. Because I had one match with Derek Neal at in Tampa, WrestleMania weekend at Family Reunion for IWTV. We had a match, and later in my DMs was somebody from, a global company, wanting more information about me. Unfortunately, it was, how old are you and how tall are you? And I was like, oh shit, these are my worst strengths. I was like, I'm 36 and 5'3". So it is what it is. Like I said, I think my career is going to expand way beyond the ring, whether that's mentorship, the actual business of professional wrestling, and expanding it. It's the longevity is there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. I would absolutely agree with you. I think that the sky is going to be the limit for you in the wrestling business, and you're going to be able to help and mentor those that want it. I got to meet Dusty Rhodes before he died, and the thrill of his life was helping younger people. Even if they thought he was past his prime or he didn't know anything, he would just wait for somebody to ask him something, and he would light up like a Christmas tree when they did. And it made the world to him. And I see that in you. I know that that's speaking very big, but I see that in you. I think that you're going to light up like a Christmas tree one day, and you're going to wait on these kids to ask you questions, and you're just going to explode all over them, and they're not going to know what to do with the knowledge you're giving them, but they're going to try to apply it the best they can. And you're going to show them how to apply it. And I really believe that from the bottom of my heart, Cabana Man Dan, I think that you're going to be there in that position one day. So you just keep working and you just keep doing it, and you're going to get there, sir. You get the thumbs up from Wrestle Talk.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's why I like being early on the cards, because I will be done early and I just sit. I don't watch in the screen. I don't look through the curtain. I sit down with the people in the crowd and I watch the show.
It makes a difference when you do.
I want that experience. Like I'm part of the fans now when I sit down. And I want to take in. I like taking in wrestling. I don't like to stand in the corner. I like to sit in a chair as a fan and watch the rest of the show and try not to bother anybody.
Well, they say if you make work, it's always going to be work. But if you make work fun and you make sure you're having fun at work, it's always going to be fun to you. And that's why we got into this, is because we wanted wrestling to be fun again. We wanted to be able to travel and have fun and record. Even though it's work, it's not really work, because it's fun for us to be out there with you guys and haggling and recording and having fun. Well, Cabana Man Dan, we're almost completely out of time, but I have to ask you before we let you go. Where are your next bookings at? And is this going to be one of those places that you're going to be at? I think I see you right there. The old Alabama Jam going to be taking place with that fatal 4-way #1 contenders match, that tag team match, I should say, right in Gadsden, Alabama, Saturday, September 21st. Tell us just a little bit about it, Cabana Man Dan.
Alabama Jam is a huge stack card. Like you brought up, the fatal 4-way tag team match for the #1 contendership to the tag team championships held by TNT. You got the Dumpster Divers. We are the first ever New South tag team champions. We had a nice run with those. It'd be nice to shine up those belts one more time. You got Annihilation, which they're brand new to New South, and they're fairly new to the scene. I don't know if you're familiar with Demon Master 1, longtime Georgia legend wrestler, blowing the fire with the face paint.
Yes, sir.
And all the leather. Yeah, that's his sons, and they're big boys, and I see something good in them, and I wanted to bring them into New South. Unfortunately, now I got to wrestle them, so we'll see how that goes. Alongside the Cortege with Esteban Diaz, Zach Johnson. So, Tony Evans is going to be aloof somewhere. And then also you have Evil, and you never know which one of Evil you're going to wrestle, whether it's Rodney Rockchild, Negative Lee, Orlando Perez, or Marcus Dillon if he's healthy. So
I absolutely despise Negative Lee, and I don't know why. There's just something on the inside of me that irks every time he talks. Do you have that same feeling?
He is channeling the ghost of Percy Pringle every time he opens his mouth. It's like I love it and I hate it. So
better
it's a weird
words have
feeling.
Never been spoken over somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he is channeling Percy Pringle III every time he opens his mouth now, and it is the most entertaining, and you want to see that guy get his ass kicked. So it's great.
Every time. It's not even a question of when. It's just, come on, please do it. Please do it. Please do it. Tell us about your other bookings that you got going on besides the Alabama Jam. What's going on with Cabana Man Dan?
Well, like Friday, I said, I'll be at Forever Pro against Shane Oakley. And then I've got a week off somehow, the last week of September. No shows, but we're coming back strong October 4th and 5th at the Von Braun Civic Center for CamiCon, the Huntsville Anime Invasion. We got 2 days of wrestling, 1 hour on Friday on the evening. And then Saturday, we've got a 2-hour show block in the afternoon with special guest, former WWE star, Matt Riddle will be in action.
Nice.
So that's huge for us.
That's really huge for you.
So that was I mean, everybody wants to see Matt Riddle versus Cabana Man Dan because they want to see two barefoot guys wrestling it up. But I think I'm going to have Bros back that day.
Absolutely. I think you will too, sir, to be honest with you. Now, before we let you go, we've already talked about your bookings. What about your t-shirt sales and merchandise? You got any merchandise that's available through Pro Wrestling Tees or anything?
That is right, my friend. You can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Cabana Man Dan. There's about a dozen shirt designs on there. You can get any kind of shirt you want, whether it has sleeves, no sleeves, long sleeves, or a hoodie, I believe. If you see me at shows, I also have a plethora of photos, 8x10s, buttons, and all sorts of knickknacks at the table. So
absolutely, sir. And for anybody watching that would love to book you that has not seen you perform or wants to see you perform, how can they do so, sir?
I am on all social media platforms, way too much. Facebook, Cabana Man Dan. I'm on X, Cabana Man Dan. Instagram, TikTok is cabana.man.dan, and email is cabanamandan@gmail.com. Hit me up. I've wrestled in 17 states over the past 20-something years, and a consummate professional wrestler. You tell me what to do, I go do it.
I'm going to show that directly off of your Facebook page. If you'll give me just a second to get there. I was trying to look to find it. As you see right here, he's got Cabana Man Dan, Instagram, X, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and he's got beacons at Cabana Man Dan. It's beacons.ai/Cabana Man Dan right there. And then as we were talking about your t-shirts, I know that they're on here somewhere because I passed them earlier. There they are right there. So you can see it right here at prowrestlingtees.com. That's mydan.html is what it's going to be /that's-my-dan.html, correct?
Well, if you just go to prowrestlingtees.com/Cabana Man Dan, all of them will be there. the That's My Dan shirt kind of had a resurgence lately and got wound up on the best sellers or the hot sellers list somehow. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
Next to Joe Hendry, it's like, come on, he's like the most over guy in wrestling right now.
How did you perform that? How did you do that? Let me head over back to the live scene. It just loaded up for us. So they can see that. That's My Dan's shirt right there. It's $19.99, guys, plus shipping and handling. So you guys definitely get on that. Make sure that you've got your sizes. Your sizes are available directly right here. It goes all the way to a 5X. So he's got you covered no matter what you want. Now, there is some extra charges on the ones that are a little bit above. They start at $350 and go all the way to $475 plus shipping and handling, just so you know. But he's got you covered on all your needs for merchandise and
That's
more.
Right.
So Cabana Man Dan, thank you so much, sir, for being here. I have to tell you, it's been a pleasure to have you. I'd love to have you back sometime. I hope that you'll come back. And remember,
absolutely. We have just scratched the surface. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I got all sorts of stories and interactions over the years. So, maybe even after a Forever Pro show, we
yes, sir.
Some more.
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure to do that with you, sir. If you guys don't remember anything, remember to go out and check out Cabana Man Dan. He is super exciting to see. If you don't believe me, just check out my reels on Facebook at Joseph D. Hughes and also my Rice reels at Casera Hughes. You can check them out there, or also on his Instagram, his TikTok, and everywhere that Cabana Man Dan is. You definitely want to check it out. New South Pro Wrestling, all the video footage that's out there. I believe that you had a TV taping here recently. Who was it with? I want to say it was IWTF, but I don't believe that was correct.
IWTV.
IWTV.
All of our shows get taped to go up on full shows go up on IWTV, and then after a while we clip the matches out, put them up on YouTube. We take all the copywritten music out, and you can just go straight to the matches on YouTube. And whether you watch on IWTV, YouTube, or anywhere else, if it's New South or it's Cabana Man Dan, it helps us make some of those sweet pennies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, Cabana Man Dan. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. And I definitely want to have you back sometime.
Awesome.
All right.
Sometime.
Thank you, sir. You have a